Okay, this is on the gentleman I talked to yesterday.
Oh, I know where you're talking.
It's there's 3 houses up in there.
Yeah.
You pull in that lane and this guy is right there in the very first house. There's 3 lanes.
I don't know where it's going.
Okay. But you know, when where Watson and Blue Jay Forks, tell me if this is where the right place is. Where Watson and Blue Jay Forks, you go on Blue Jay. You come around that little bend, you've got that house that sits up on that rise. Then you've got Jeff Hall's vacant property right there. Then you have a ranch house where actually when we had the windstorm, a tree fell into the garage or something. You have a ranch house, and then up the next house up the hill, you have another house that has like a new concrete driveway. Is that where you're talking?
One. And then there's a fire hydrant right down by the entrance to that driveway. There's a fire hydrant there. It looks like they just done some work on it because there's looked to me like some dirt that had been dug up. But that dirt is, I mean, the water, there's no way the water can get into that drain, into that.
When we had the big rainstorm, that culvert underneath the new driveway that I'm talking about, that culvert was all plugged up with sediment.
Yeah.
It looked to me. Now I thought I had seen that sediment had been removed, but maybe I'm wrong.
We'll have to go look at it. But
Okay.
that's, I mean, really, some of these catch basins we have.
This isn't a catch basin. This is a drainage ditch and a culvert. That's all. There's no catch basins on Blue
What do
Jay.
you, I don't know what you're talking about.
There is a drainage tile grate that's right there, but it's above. It's almost level with the road, Mayor. It's almost level with the road, and the ditch itself is coming down to where there's no way that the water. This guy says it just goes all the way around that.
I'd have to go look at it.
I guess I would too. Maybe I'm not.
I mean, a lot of these catch basins, sometimes they put them in and then somehow they rise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at River Oaks, if you look at River Oaks, a lot of them,
Yep.
where the catch basins are all of a sudden, they just rise up. They
Yeah.
fit.
Well, you have to take a look at this because it's really up. Okay. So, and this guy said that it's really a giant flood when it rains.
Well,
When
if
it
it rains
rains
hard,
hard,
it's if you're near the bottom of the hill, it's usually not good there. Our fogging will be ending soon. In fact, maybe this Tuesday and Friday could be the last time we're running low. We haven't. If the health department comes to us, because they test for West Nile once in a while, they come to us and say there's some certain areas bad, and we continue to spray, but we're getting into the season. So I think this Tuesday and Friday could be the last time that we spray. Some people will be happy about that. Dump trucks and bucket truck replacement. I know nobody wants to hear this, but in the next 3 years, I would almost start to like replacing our dump trucks 1 a year. And I know with our capital improvements, I think we only have $160,000 in capital improvements.
That's what we had allocated in this year.
And dump truck is around $100,000, somewhere in that vicinity, unless we would look to lease something. But we have a 1990 that needs a bed right now. It's 23 years old. 94, we're having a lot of trouble with the engine, continuous trouble, putting a lot of money into it. That's 19 years, and then we have a 97 that's also needs a new bed, and that's 16 years old. We're just going to have to start replacing some of these eventually, or we're going to be hurting. I think the 90, we're looking to replace the bed, but that's $4,000 to $6,000. I'm looking to see if I just have enough money in my budget to be able to handle that. I may not.
Okay.
That truck will be down. Like I said,
Is
we
that
only
the
have,
truck? Because we kind of had this conversation before. The 1990. Is that the one that, engine-wise, running-wise?
Yeah, I think it
that
runs,
one's doing
but,
fine.
Yeah,
It's the
it
bed
runs.
that's.
It's the bed that's really
Okay.
bad, like it's cracked in half. I mean, there's no way we can use it.
Take a look at that, Bob, and
Well, replace the bed's about 4, but if they do it, it's like 6 or 7. So we're looking to see what we can do ourselves.
take a look at that, Bob, and if it's, I would feel comfortable enough with where we're at right now, that if you don't think you've got what you need to cover it, then let's put together a legislative request and look to appropriate it.
For the bed.
For the bed, yeah, because, like I said, I remember you saying before that although that 90 is perhaps the oldest,
Right.
it's running better than some of the ones that are a little newer.
Right. It just seems we buy a new truck. I don't know how your trucks are. We buy new trucks. It seems like there's always something that's going wrong on them. I don't know.
Chief Huggins would tell you the same thing about our medics.
Really?
The newest medics is one that we have the most trouble with.
Yeah.
Too many gadgets.
Yeah. Too many things can go wrong. And also our bucket truck, you know, I don't have a year on that, but I know we're really starting to get nickel and dime, and we have to have that bucket truck inspected. When it gets inspected, we basically have to replace all that stuff. A new bucket truck is anywhere between $150,000 and $200,000, and it's getting to the point where we're going to have to start looking at that. And then also our street sweeper. And I think that's just a decision that we're going to have to make if we want to do that, or have someone else do it. I think we talked about it here a little bit, but it's getting close that we're going to have to do this, and I don't want to spring everything at once. But these things are, I mean, they're expensive.
How often do we use that bucket truck?
Quite a bit, really. Because anytime a light needs repaired or fixed, we take it out. I know in the parts department we use it quite a bit for everything. We use it to replace those the things we're putting on the mediums now. The banners, we're using it for that. We use it for a lot of different things. So it's a good thing to have.
Would you say like in a 1 month period of time, we would maybe use it 5 working days out of that 1 month period of time? Or?
I mean, I think it just goes in spurts. It just depends if the light goes out or something needs repaired. But yeah, I'd say we use it quite a bit. So I will give you updates on that. I will look at that. We'll talk to Dave tomorrow about the bed.
We ought to also, Bob, be open to the concept of something that's been used. You know, maybe either purchasing something that's been used either at a rental place somewhere locally, or like an eBay type of thing or something like that. That option's always out there also, as opposed to just something brand new. You know.
But we're gonna look at that.
What kind of trucks are the dump trucks?
They vary.
We got a hodgepodge, don't we?
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge. Ford. You know, we're using more automatic now. Before it was all standard now. It's all automatic. So, but we'll look at that and I'll come back on that. The ditch work on Berkshire, I talked to you about that. We've got an estimate today, and to refresh your memories, there is a ditch on Berkshire and Willow Ridge that there's a pond up above. I think the overflow comes down and also catches water and it goes behind the house on Berkshire. And a resident came here last month and requested that we take a look at it. So we had Leighton come out and look at it and give us an estimate. And the resident wanted to know what it would cost if we installed pipe and then also attach his drainage pipe off his house, like downspout and things like that. He might have a sump pump that goes into that. And we decided in here that we would be willing to clean out the ditch. Clean out the ditch with a track hoe was $955. To install piping and a catch basin, and they debated whether to put 2 catch basins in, one at the beginning and one near the street. That is $6,800, and that would be the responsibility of the resident. So the responsibility of the city would only be the $955. What we have decided that we're willing to clean out the ditch, but not put in.
$6,800 for 2 catch basins?
$6,800 for piping and catch basin. Now, it just says catch basin, so I don't know if he's putting in 1 or 2. Maybe only 1, but he just has catch basin. But we did talk maybe about the
Positive too. But it seemed like when we were out there meeting with the guy that he wasn't adverse to paying
Well,
if
yeah.
we would come up and pay part of it, that, he seemed to me like he was willing to go ahead and pick up the cost on that pipe and catch basin. Did he to you, Bob?
Yeah, he has 2 downspout drains, a sump pump, and a foundation drain. All will have to run into the catch basin. Everything is ready for you to begin work at your earliest opportunity. So, I think he's willing to pay that. So I will get with, I don't know if Kevin and Steve are wanting to work this out. He had a question. He wanted to know if the $955 would be deducted off to $6,800, and I don't think that's the case. So I think that's wishful thinking, but it's not. But I will get with the resident, and we will see what we're going to go from there.
So the resident this hasn't been communicated because you just got it, right?
The resident has the estimate.
Oh,
And
okay.
he responded back that it sounds like to me that he's willing.
That's the gentleman who was in here a few weeks ago?
Aaron Kelly.
Yep.
Aaron Kelly.
Yeah, the last month's, was it last month's meeting or during John's meeting? I think it was my last month's meeting.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
And just to confirm, we don't own a track hoe.
No,
Okay, so it takes a track hoe to get in there and we'll do this.
it's
So
really wet.
that's justification.
It's like a wetland.
I was up there yesterday, and the
Damp dirt.
it's more than damp
Damp
dirt.
dirt.
There's water running down through there.
I know.
It's probably from you to right about here, the width of that, and it's wet water. I mean, it's running. So you need a track hoe to get down through it. There's no other way.
Well,
We couldn't do it with a backhoe. No way.
just to answer the question, why we spend $950? We don't have the equipment.
Right.
We're probably strained on the manpower as well. So,
If we had equipment, if we had a track had to get in, we could do it.
so for $950.
What it cost you that much to rent a tractor?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So just
Yeah, can we have a tractor? Once every 2 years, is that what? That's all I have on the street side. Unless somebody wants to talk about the Oberlin and Andover, you want to say anything about that? I know we're starting. I didn't talk to Dave. They're supposed to put them up today, but I didn't see.
I didn't go there.
I haven't gone through that intersection to see if they put them on. I think that, I mean, goodness gracious, if dedicated left turns, if that doesn't solve that problem, I don't know what to do. There's nothing else to do.
I mean, a long, long time ago on Dorsey Mill, when it was more offset, both lights turned at the same time. And we were having accidents there. And then that's why they went to split face. Yeah. On that, and
they still have it because people turn right on red and
Yeah.
pay attention to the
Yeah.
people they have to left.
yeah.
who lives down that way that could check on the quality of drivers down there? Oh, hi, Tim.
I tell you, it's going to ruin my chance of getting me a new vehicle. Huh?
They should be ready to go.
Oh, the ulterior motive.
Also, I got 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks I can go through there. 12 times a day.
That's all I have in the street, unless you have something.
Any other questions for Bob?
There was, this is just information.
Your
There was
son's
an
son
opinion
ordered,
piece that ran in the Advocate. I want to say maybe it was Sunday. I think it was yesterday's edition. I don't get the paper copy. I just get the print copy. But there was something in there about the meeting. You guys probably saw Kent Mallett's article. What was it? 6. Yeah, something like that. It was the 1 year since they stopped working on it or something like that. And, I thought the opinion piece that they wrote was pretty well spot on. It's not perfect. It's got its flaws, and like I said a long time ago, whenever you're going to retrofit a solution into something like this, it's going to have flaws. But the crash data supports the fact that it's being effective in reducing the accidents, and in particular, most important accidents, most dangerous accidents that needed to be reduced are the ones that have been most dramatically reduced, which are the side impact crashes. Those are the, fender, what's it called? What's Chief Shepherd say? Not having a safe distance between, there's nothing you can do to help that other than put cars on a track and just have them. But the side impact collisions being reduced are the things that, hopefully will save lives. And that was kind of the idea behind it. So
T-bone crashes,
Yeah.
so we've had fatalities and very, very serious injuries, of course.
Anything else?
Okay, if nothing else, we'll adjourn at 5:55.
Ready to go right into the next one? Call Parks, Recreation, and David J. to order at 5:56. Bob, first time for full report.
I'll pass these out in a minute. Just want to give you a little update on the pool report. I did a comparison from last year to this year. Our gross revenue the last few years has been going down. We were averaging, I don't know, a good year for us would be 525,000. We've been up to 550,000. Last year, the revenue went down. A lot of it was because of the storm that we had last year that we lost. We figured we lost $25,000 or so in revenue because of that, and also some of the damage we had. With that, we filed an insurance claim with that and received $34,000 back from the insurance. I think it was around 20,000 for revenue, and the rest of it was for things that we had to replace, like umbrellas and doors that got blown open and bent, things that happened. That money was deposited into 2013 as revenue because we spent the money this year to fix those things, which came out of my 2013 budget. So deposit that revenue, and I showed it as revenue in the 2013 budget. This year was started off good as far as the pre-sale, and then the weather hit again, and the pool is so much based on weather that the weather was bad, and if you have the bad 2 weeks in June, the first 2 weeks, that really hurts your revenue on your memberships. A thought that I'm having is maybe we even offer a bigger discount earlier to try to receive more money for memberships early in the year, even more than what we do now, in case we hit a bad spot again. I think we're really going to look at some more ways, because I think we're going to have to try more things now, because the revenue is going down, and it could be the economy. We don't have time to swim. We haven't added anything new since we have done improvements in 2002. So all those could be factors for everything. The minimum wage has continued to go up. This year was another year it went up. As you'll see, though, we did keep our payroll less than last year, but that's a combination of us trying to do a better job of sending people home if we're, more of a skeleton crew. You have to have so many lifeguards there, and so you can't send everyone home. But I think Ann and Rhonda did a good job of trying to keep the payroll down as much as we could. But it is a difficult thing. So that's a little bit, I just wanted to preface that, and I'll pass these out. This is pool report, and this pool report does include the debt service. So you see the final. It's that debt service is included. Thanks. Also, I want to preface that I did not break down.
Bob, do you have any more copies?
Did 10.
Just that
I did 10. Pretty sure I did 10.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. There was 2 on there. There you go. Sorry. Go ahead.
I did not do some breakdowns on what you see in 2012, 2013. The stuff I get sometimes is just all combined, and it just takes forever to try to figure out what is what. So I just put totals down. So we're just going to look at totals. And if you look at the total, if you see total 4,001 membership May 1st, which is for January through December 13th of 50,420. Does everybody see that? Last year it was 45,520. So we started the year, almost $5,000 better. And a lot of that is if we have a good year the year before, people will buy memberships early. If we have a bad year the year before, usually the memberships aren't as high that early in the year. But they were up $5,000, so that was a good start. And then if you look at 4010 memberships, the regular memberships, we brought in 98,779. Last year we brought in 137,000. That to me is a correlation of the first 2 weeks of June. It hurts us if the weather's bad. We weren't open that much, and when we're not open, people aren't buying memberships. And then if it goes on for very long, they may say, well, maybe we'll just pay as we go instead of buying membership.
So we were nearly $40,000 down this year in regular membership
Yes.
cost revenues.
Yes.
We were down a little more than $50,000 in walk-in revenues for this year. Down at
Well,
40,
our total,
30.
jumping ahead a little bit, but if you go to total memberships, we were down $35,000 from our memberships that we sold last year. And then, yes, when you get down to the total walk-ins, we brought in almost 226,000 last year, almost 174 this year. So yes, we were down almost around $50,000 on walk-ins. And this year, besides the cold weather, we had storms almost every day. It just seemed like we had periods of storms. People, if they see us going to storm, a lot of times they don't have to come.
Yeah.
We don't get rain checks. That's a whole other ballgame that we have.
Well, it rained for every day for 3 straight weeks in
Yes,
June.
it did.
It rained every day, literally.
Some people just don't. We stay open. I think we only close once or twice the whole year. So we stay open. But when you stay open in that kind of weather conditions, you're not bringing in any revenue, but you still have expenses because you have to have people there.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
You said you didn't break down, like, on the walk-ins, you don't have it broken down at all?
No.
Do you have that information?
Yes, I do have it.
Okay.
But I would say, Tim, I would say that it's probably the same percentage as what
Okay.
it has been.
I just, for management standpoint, if you did have it, it's like it'd be good to know how much came in after 5 and all that kind of stuff. Is it worth changing your price?
Which
Yeah.
I do have. That's on the daily
Okay.
reports. So if
Okay.
they get this done today, I just
Okay.
send it down.
Okay, but you do have it. You just don't have it.
And I always look at it,
Okay.
so I will do that later.
The other thing, your August memberships,
Yeah.
since you're only open for 2 more weeks in August,
Yeah,
a lot of people came and said you need to change that to be like
Maybe
mid-July or something like that, because
Yeah.
some people, what happens
Yeah.
is, some people that have kids that are involved in like the baseball, softball, and stuff like that, they're not done until then, and they'd probably buy one if it was like a 4-month period, or 4-week period or something like that. But you'd have to change the price accordingly, because as you shrink the membership that you can get, you don't want to make it
Yeah.
too cheap or too,
That was based on the old days when
Yeah.
we were
Right.
until Labor Day.
Yeah.
So we can change.
Because there was, Phil asked me out there, and there were some people that had just moved into the area, and they wanted to buy a membership, but it didn't make mathematical sense to buy the full one.
Right.
And if they waited to August, it didn't make any sense for 2 weeks for the cost of it. It didn't make any sense, So that's something you need to look at.
Is there any way or any chance at all that we can stay open until Labor Day?
I don't know who's gonna work there. You tell me
Yeah, I
who's
mean,
gonna work there.
We have And we have a number of employees who are college kids, and we have a number of employees, probably a great percentage that are high school kids. Now, one perhaps used to at least be able to make an argument of, well, why can't we use college kids when the high school kids go back to school? But now, since Ohio State and Ohio University are now on semesters, they go back pretty much at the same time that the high school students are going back. So we really have nobody. And the other thing you got to remember, Doug, is if the high school students are in school, well, guess what they don't have time to do? They don't have time to go to the pool. They, after school, they've got volleyball practice or football practice or whatever else it is, homework. I mean, it's
not like it used to be. It's
Yeah.
not like it used to be. They do go to school earlier, so that really.
Yeah, we can make excuses for everything. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just only giving facts to all this stuff. But kids it's just more intense. You know, my kids just went through that time. You know, I have a freshman in college and a senior in high school, and I went through the baseball and all that stuff. It's intense.
Yeah.
It's intense.
I
And there's
think-
no time to go swimming anymore. It's intense.
I
There's
think
not a lot of
there's
leisure time.
I think there's a number of dynamics at play here. First of all, it's important to note that although, you know, this net loss is certainly large, it's not as large as the debt service payment. And so, unless you want to start making the debt service payment out of the general fund, and I'm not inclined to go that route, you have to look at it as, well, gee, even though we lost over $100,000, that is less than if we had made the decision to not open the pool. Because had we not opened the pool, then we would have lost $144,000 this year. But, you know, Bob's right. We haven't had anything new in a while. I'm not sure how we can have anything new when we're paying $140,000 a year in debt service. Weather is a variable that we can't control. But Bob and I were talking about this last week. And even in recent years where we've had good weather, our good weather years are not as good as good weather years in the past. Part of that, I think, is the increase in the minimum wage. But probably the biggest part of it is, and Bob alluded to this, kids are more active in organized activities during the summer than they used to be. Parents have, where there are two parents in a household, both of them are working more now than what it used to be. Parents are nowhere near as likely to allow even their teenage kids to, on their own, ride a bike or whatever to the pool, like when I used to ride halfway across Lancaster when I was a kid. Parents aren't of that mindset anymore. So, some of the things I think that are impacting this number are things that we can't control that are weather related. But some of these things also, I think, are just a changing dynamic in things that affect all municipal pools. And I mean, I don't have an answer other than to say it's less than the debt service was.
Well, the good news is that, you know, the old pool we had before we did improvements in 2002, you know, we lost, Keith was on there, we lost money every year. We subsidized that pool every year to the tune of, I don't know, I mean, it was a lot smaller operation, but, you know, maybe our budget was $200,000 back then. You know, we subsidized probably $60,000 now $200,000 every year for that pool, and maybe more. I can't remember. I'd have to go way back to see that.
But
you know?
it never produced black ink until after the improvements.
Right. And that first year that we had the pool open, we had to redo that parking lot for almost $200,000, and we paid all that money out of the pool fund, all of it. Did not come out of the general fund. That was all paid out of the pool fund because we made enough money that year. The good news is that if you take our gross income compared to our expenses minus the debt service, we brought in $43,000 to the good in the worst year of the history of the pool. If we did not have that debt service, we would have brought in $43,000. I think that's still good because you could have had the best year of all time back in the 1990s and 2000, and you'd still be subsidizing the pool.
Yeah.
So that at least is good. And then I think I brought in one time that we have paid, if you take 12 or 13 times 140-some thousand, except maybe the last couple of years where we did have to subsidize a little bit of debt service, we have probably paid 1.3, 1.4 million of that debt service, all from money we brought in from the pool.
Yeah.
That the city otherwise would have had to pay.
I think the reality of what we're looking at is, regardless of weather, in my mind, I don't expect to see the pool break even anymore. I just don't. I just don't think as many people are able to or want to go to the pool. I don't anticipate it breaking even anymore. The question is, or the fact though is that despite all the bad weather and everything, it's still less than what the debt service was. So it's still, in the end, financially, makes sense for us to operate the pool. And until, hopefully this never happens, but until we get a couple of years where that's not the case, to me, it's a no-brainer. We continue to operate the pool.
And it's an amenity for our community. It's something that might bring
It
people
is.
to Heath that they don't have somewhere else. So, as long as even when you take the debt service out of the equation, if we're at all in the black, I think that, it's
So we're
positive.
up to the pool ripping, but
This is,
Yeah, exactly.
That is true, though. I mean, it draws people that, you just wouldn't expect. I know my daughter, they don't have a membership, but every once in a while, they go out and
Yeah.
go to the pool out here. So,
Yeah, and
they're
obviously
paying.
there's a number of things that the city does that's of a service that's not as though it's cost neutral. I guess what I'm saying is if every year we were losing 150,
Right.
we might have to entertain the thought of rethinking this because the impact of having whoever from out of town is not to the tune of $150,000. Not to the
What do
city.
we got? 7 more years, Keith, to pay the debt service? Around? Maybe count next year, 7.
Probably,
I
I'm
guess
guessing
2-3
about
years
that.
ago, so.
When did we do all the remodel? 2002?
Yeah, we make this payment, I think we probably have 7 left. Because we refinanced it, what, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, for 10 years.
For 10.
Right?
Yeah.
So next year will be.
Sure, you got something?
Oh, I was just gonna say that, like Bob mentioned about, paying the debt service and stuff, but, once it is paid off in the 7 years, then you don't have to pay the $140-some thousand. Then you said about breaking even, it should definitely be money. Of course, by then, maybe it's time to do some other improvements or something like that, but maybe not to the tune of what we did before, so the debt service wouldn't be as much. But you're also employing a lot of local kids plus other kids to give them a job, something to do, so they got spending money, which they probably spend in other local people. I know people that come to the pool, if they don't eat the concession stand there, they stop at Subway and other places, they buy gas, whatever, so, it's kind of like they always talk about something, well, this may only generate this, but the dollars that are generated to,
Yeah.
to help other things that, if it wasn't for that, they
Ripple
wouldn't come here,
effects.
they would, and stop, pick up, so, and then just get people to see the city and see other things, because, they come to the pool. I know I've got guys that I graduated with and stuff, usually once a year they meet with their families or whatever, kind of like a mini family reunion or whatever, hit the pool or something like that and everything, because I'll see them and I go, what are you doing here? I'll decide to come here on a Saturday, just to, so it's kind of a gathering place or something to do, so.
We've also provided.
I agree.
People
I
have
agree.
swim teams,
Yeah,
so that has been, what's happened to, well, a local, dentist reserves it for all his patients and has a big party there. And now the Little League has always used our pool for, their year-end party, so that's serves the purpose too.
Hey, Bob, question. On this line 4050 miscellaneous on the first page of the revenue.
That is the insurance reimbursement. I didn't have
Oh,
a
okay.
line item
Yeah,
for that.
that's
That's
37.
insurance reimbursement of around 34,000, and we received deferred comp, check back from deferred comp. So that's what that 37,000.
Okay.
That's what that is. Those two things. And as I was going down there, I was going to explain those things, but I didn't.
Everybody jumped ahead of you.
Yes. That's what I
You know,
did.
another thing, I've heard some of this kind of issues with more people, they built their own schools, they thought they were gonna beat it, and now then they're saying, hey, there's never no end to it, and they say, you better never build it. I was going to talk about building one, but he said, no.
I think if you look at the expenses, we have kept the expenses down. It was $7,000 less now. I will say that there will probably still be a few expenses, maybe an electric, again, because they run so late. So it may have a few, but not too many that will come. Some of these expenses were attributed to the store damage we had last year. I probably spent at least $25,000 this year on stuff we had to replace. But again, I showed that miscellaneous as revenue. So these expenses would have been less if we didn't have to replace some of the things that got damaged in the store. But it looks like everything else. But if the minimum wage, and I don't know. I mean, if you have people that in the legislature, if they want to keep raising minimum wage, which here and there, whether it's the right thing to do or not, our pool will not be able to survive a $15 an hour minimum wage if it ever goes to that point. We will not be able to survive. And now McDonald's, sure, I think they're going to be able to survive because they make billions of dollars and billions of hamburgers. But the Heath pool, they're not going to be able to survive.
What's
And
the
I
minimum
think
wage now?
it's
$7.25.
$7.25. But we were paying $5.15.
I thought it's more than
$7.85.
I was gonna say
$7.85.
$7.85.
But we were paying $5.15, less than 5 years ago. Well, when you raise the minimum wage to your lowest, like the guys are making $5.15 working the concession stand, now they're making $7.85. Well, you can't pay your guards $6. You have to raise them too. But my point is, I don't think that we, as a 3-month enterprise, we shouldn't have to pay that minimum wage. I mean, I would think there's got to be something, because they're just going to run us right out of business.
That's something that we can look into, Bob, as far as and I don't know the answer. That's something that we can look into as far as the legality of us having to pay. But you also have to look at the reality, which is what kind of employees are we going to draw if we're paying $1.50 less than what a high school kid can get,
Well,
working at a store or
but
something.
that is always, we've always paid less. We have always paid less than everybody else because of the kids get to have a schedule. I got volleyball. Okay, you can take 2 weeks off for camp. We let you, and then you can come back. A lot of the places don't give you that, and that's why a lot of the kids will work at the pool for less money because of the flexibility of their schedule. Because even though we were paying a minimum wage on the bottom, we weren't paying that much higher for everyone else. Where a lot of other main companies, when it was $5.15, they were paying 7 or 8. We didn't have to do that because we were still have more applications than what we needed.
Well, why don't we talk to David Morrison and have him look into?
Yeah, well, that's who always makes. I mean, Butch, and I don't know if Dave has been involved in it, but budget always made that decision for us. Do we fall under these guidelines that we have to pay them wage? And the answer was always yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I looked at it before last season a little bit, and if you read the minimum wage, it
Oh,
talks
I
about being,
remember.
well, it talks about being 16. If you're under 16, you really don't qualify. So our 14 and 15-year-olds, if we wanted to pay them $3 an hour or $4, those kids would probably still work and probably pick up the trash and all that kind of stuff, and they'd probably do as heck of a good job as they do now. Now, granted, is that fair to do that? I don't know. It's just but if you want to save money, I mean, that's one place to do it. The other is, like I said, you can manipulate that thing to say do the tips and stuff like that, and hire them just like you do a waitress or whatever. You pay them, $2 something an hour, and they make up the rest in tips. We guarantee them $30 in tips a week, and they're covered. I mean, there's all kinds of ways of manipulating if you really want to get it. The problem is, does everything crash down when you start doing that kind of stuff? You know what I mean? Do you get in trouble somewhere else along the line and stuff?
Retail, everybody says, well, retail's making it, but they're not. If you go into any business up here, you know what they do? They cut the hours down. People driving all the time. We don't have enough help. The guy told me, he said, we're not going to pony more people before because we're not making as much money we used to. But they want to keep that same span all the way up through. But we can't do it if you have to have so many safety things.
The only way I can see Bob too is, and I know that they wouldn't want to do this, okay? But I'm out at the pool a lot, so I kind of look, and I don't want to micromanage, but you look and you see things, and stuff. It looks like it's going to be a nice day. You got a full, everyone's scheduled to show up, and they show up, and then it turns crappy or something like that. And so then they start not calling in the second half and all this kind of stuff. But then you still look around and you still see it looks like there's just way too many people there. No one's at the concession stand. Do you need that many people? Not many people. And sometimes it's like, maybe I don't know how you call it, but you have certain people that are like primary people, like your guards. You have to have X number of guards. Right. But to me, there's nothing that says that once that guard's not guarding, or why can't they work in the concession? Why can't they pick up? When I see them pick up trash, but and then maybe the lowest level employee, so to speak, the maintenance guy or whatever, the people that normally pick up, you just don't call them in, But you have that guard there because in case you get busy, you need to have X number of guards. But you're not busy, and that guard's just kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs. Well, let them pick up, or let them work in the concession stand the next shift or whatever. And and I know they don't want to do that. Say, hey, I got hired to be a guard, but yet when you hire them in your thing, it says, you may do this, and you may have to do this sometimes, and stuff. And just know that for this kind of wages, that's the way it is, And you hate to do that, but yet, like Clea says, in real business, sometimes, my job description doesn't say everything I have to do because we've lost people. Pretty soon it's like, guess what, Tim, you're doing this today, and so you do it. You may not like to do it, but you do it because you want to keep your job and stuff.
One of the dynamics that we have to deal with.
That it justifies. In other words, what I'm saying is, if we're not making that much money in concessions, why don't you farm it out? Let McDonald's come
Well,
down here.
but we talked about that.
Yeah.
There's no grill there. They'd have to put in. You put in a suppression system. What's that? $50,000? It's crazy. So to do all the stuff that you need to do to have someone come in, they're going to have to. It's a huge investment. Well, they can if they can make up their money. They can make up the money.
Not knowing what the employee salaries to do the concession. You had concessions of almost $49,500 in income, and you had outgoing expense of $25,900. So
That's on food product.
that's on food product and stuff only. But you don't know how much employees
Concession stand have to lose.
So
There's no way it breaks.
it's
Because
The-
if you're
the tough
running a
thing that-
concession stand, you're also on maintenance. You're also
You're right,
running the
right,
restroom,
yeah,
traveling, all
yeah,
sorts of
right.
different things.
The dynamic that we have, and Bob's right, one of the advantages, I think, to a teenager looking to work during the summer, particularly ones who are involved in extracurricular activities, is that when they work at the pool, they do have that flexibility. Okay, when beginning of August rolls around and 2-a-days start. Well, maybe the ones that are football players, they can only come in the afternoon. We have a large pool of employees for the pool that we hire every year. That allows us to be able to accommodate that kind of flexibility. The problem, though, that brings with it is, I believe that there's an obligation, there's a perceived obligation to have the employees that we do hire get a decent number of hours each week if they want to work them. And so that can lend to an overstaffing situation when the weather or attendance might not warrant it.
Right.
Is, gee, if I let Billy go, he's only going to be working 4 hours this week. Well, what's the point of him even working there if he's only getting 4 hours in a week? So let's keep Billy on. There's the largeness of the pool of employees that we have has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. And I think there would be a disadvantage to it is that, you want to give people enough hours each week that it's worth it to them to work there.
And I've told the mayor, he gets tired of me, but we've had these discussions through the years. I've been here for 36 years now. We've had these discussions for 36 years. It's very hard, and if you really want to have the reality of it, because I ask the same questions. You guys aren't asking any questions I don't ask Rhonda or Phil or Jane when they were there, and Ann now, and you could bring him in here and ask him those same questions, and you'll understand more what they have to go through with these employees and trying to schedule the times and just like the mayor said, something like getting 4 hours. Well, I used to say, well, okay, let's get a smaller pool, we'll get more hours. Well, and Phil will always just say, well, yeah, we try to give them more hours, and then all of a sudden they don't want to work anymore. Now we don't have enough people. So those things happen. So it's I understand what we're all saying, and I've asked the same questions, but it's just it's not as easy as what it appears sometimes. So, but I could have Ann and Rhonda come in, and they'll give you your 2 cents at times. But I think they do as well as they can.
And something that is I think the most important aspect of this, and Ann and Rhonda get big kudos for this, is that once again our pool went through a summer, operated safely, and that's obviously extremely important.
Yes. Yeah. They had another scare at Hollander this year. Right in front of people.
Yeah.
We do take it very, very, very seriously over there. You've seen the training we do, and I've been there where when something happens bad, it's like three quick blows of a whistle. And if you see how everybody reacts, they don't care if the President of the United States is talking to one of them, they're rushing there, And yes, there's no price for that. There's no price for that. So nobody wants to be a part of that. Happens. Yeah, safety record is really good. So that's a pool report.
Anything else? Questions, comments about the pool report?
Well, it's not really about the pool, but it's about the pool. Not a pool report, but about the pool. And since you can change prices and things like that, that's different. But I'd like to see us sometime try it. And I don't know if it'd work or not, but some kind of a coupon or something that we could try just to see, just like everyone else advertise, $1 off or whatever like that. And I mean, when we know like the week's kind of crappy weather or something coming up that, go down to Hoback and pass out a little coupon that says $1 off, 1 day admission on Wednesday or something like that, And it's crappy weather, hardly anyone's going to come. I'd rather get $8 than $9 on a crappy day. You got to have guards there anyway, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And or go to the mall or go anywhere there's kids or parents or something, or try something like that, or just that, or I don't know, have a thing that,
We could put something on the city's Facebook page that would be like
something
that.
out there or something like that, or just a blurb, they forecast, it's going to be overcast like that. due to overcast weather this week, Heath Pool is offering, a $1 off, if you come between 12 and 1 or something like that, to get them there early. You know what I'm saying? And then if the weather gets better, well, I best get there early, and out sunny at 2 o'clock, but you already got, some people in there and stuff, and just, I mean,
we've never
Not
had
a bad idea.
we've never done anything like that.
we've never had to do much marketing, but
Yeah.
we see this going down. It looks like we're going to have to start.
I mean,
It
something
works,
like
I tell you, let's like today, there's a lady, but there's a person came in, and there was a pair of shoes she wanted. And it was $15.20, tax and all. And she said, well, they'd be any cheaper this week. I said, yeah, you can save another 5% or another 25% off, but 25% off for $12. It's not very much.
Yeah.
And she was driving from the other side of Hebron. And she took it. She drove up there today. Well, in the back of her mind, she's going to save $2 more bucks.
If they're
but it's
still
going to
there.
cost her more than that. Yes.
And if they're still there.
Well, that's the way it works.
There's an experienced shopper.
Well,
right there.
and we all stop and listen to the psychology of shopping. Female.
I know how they work.
You're in my arena.
Okay.
Or you buy it, and then if it goes on sale, you buy it again, you can take the other one back.
That's right.
Yeah.
See?
Go
You
Deb.
don't put down on the price.
That's right. That's great.
that's what you said, right?
That's
Well, we
really
will
interesting.
look at it that you need to look into. Oh, yeah.
Just something to,
We'll start to put our marketing hats on.
Yeah.
No more, so. All right, number 2 is the playground equipment, and it is in. It's at Geller Park. And Mayor, do you have something set up? We set that up.
Eddie and Eddie was supposed to communicate with Robertson Construction to get a date, a step. Robertson Construction's gonna anchor the posts in for all the playground equipment. Then Eddie was working with them to establish a date where the assembly of the equipment would take place. And Christian brought this idea up, and I think it's fantastic. It should be a community event. And I know that there are a number of organizations that I think would be willing to participate if we can give them a date. I do not yet have a date.
And I gave you, there was I think it's like a church group that must meet in the mall, I guess. And
Yes.
you have that info.
Yeah.
And they have offered to help with that. They kind of went to adopt Southgate Park.
Hoback or Hitchcock.
No, it's Hitchcock Park. There were some things they wanted to do there. We have a lot of vandalism there, but I told her if you wanted to go and pick up trash, and I think they just do it on Saturdays. I mean, basically, it takes us, an hour to pick up trash before we can even mow, because you got 15 pairs of shoes. Who else? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy over there. So they're willing to help on that project too. So when we get a date, we will put that out. But the equipment is in, and we are ready to go. And the old equipment is gone. We have pulled that out. It's gone. Just remind you, the pool roof is on tonight. I would like to have the pool roof and the skylight waived, if that's possible, for the purpose of getting this
We need
project
to get
started
rolling on
ASAP.
those. So
Okay.
that'd be great.
I put this in there as not a super priority, but my vehicle is having major problems, and I hate to even ask for anything eventually, but I just, maybe it's for myself or the next person or whatever we're going to do, but I hate to ask anything with we need dump trucks and everything, but it's getting near its last legs.
do you like to drive a dump truck or a bucket truck?
I can drive
Or a street sweeper?
Sure. I'll do a street give me a smart car. I mean,
I could just see that would be.
Put
a little yellow light on it.
Hey, get a convertible, you can use this on car trips.
Ooh.
Anyway,
But I do think
I'm just throwing it out there.
Jim Harper so far that hurt me. Might get you one of them.
What year is yours?
So it's at 98.
Oh,
Got 100.
You know
what, Mark?
I think only driven into one house. Only driven into one house.
Hey, Mark, I think we should look at all the department heads getting used vehicles. So they
I'll
have
tell you
like-
later.
You don't need a new pickup truck or whatever.
Yeah, depending on what happens with impounds and things like that, that we
Tell you after we
try to
get
identify something like that.
That's true.
A lot of times you get I get better mileage, I get better deals on used vehicles than I do new.
Jeff had a real good idea here, if y'all remember Mr. Aldridge. And, Herbie the.
You look good, Herbie.
Well, if it's easy to park.
I can remember my girls
It's just simple.
enjoyed getting little rides from him and that thing on, over at the school. He was a great guy.
Then other items, just, we don't have a lot of new information on Blackboard, and Blackboard is the information thing we're going to use where people can get information from the city on weather alerts and maybe any kind of emergencies or flushing hydrants that you could get to your phone or your phone at home, your cell phone. You can get it through email or text messaging. And that launch date is the 28th, I think. Did we say that the last time I was here?
No, I think we're looking at,
No, it's not.
aren't we looking at like that first full week of October? Because the information's going out in the water bills.
Yeah, we changed it to maybe the
Yeah.
second or the third.
We've got sign up information on the city website. I mean, it's active now. You can sign up now. We've got a link on the city's website where you can get the sign up information. We're going to include an insert in the water bill where you can get the sign up
That's
information.
coming out in
At the end of this month.
End of September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get with the Heath News and have them print something in there about sign up information. We'll try to do radio and newspaper or whatever. I mean, however we can get the word out. And I think a lot of it is going to be word of mouth. That's going to help spread it too.
Is that one of Jim?
Yes. Yes.
And that's going to be used for citywide, just not.
Correct.
Want to use it or anybody?
Yeah, it'll
We
be
can-
for like any emergency, like when the guy escaped from the
Right.
nursing home.
Yeah.
We could have.
Well, we can
broadcast that
also
out.
use it though, Brian, like for instance, we
Does
can
that
set up
be
a
emergency?
group within it for the fire department. And if there's an overtime opportunity, it can be used to blast the message out to all the employees that, so we can use it for that too. But as far as the public at large is concerned, it's the informational, system.
Doesn't have to be an emergency, it can be something, remind everybody about the Star Spangled Celebration, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't want to send something out.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to send something out frequently, or else people just can say, geez, I'm tired of getting these things.
Yeah.
But like Star Spangled, big events like that, yeah, we can use it for that too.
Does it sign up for like anyone, like, I mean, if you work in Heath, you sign up for it,
Yep.
to get the weather, so yeah, I mean, okay.
You could
Live in Heath, or in
Cal-
Heath, or wherever you want to be, California, you want
Yeah.
to be notified of stuff?
Well, wait a minute, is
Yeah.
that,
Or is it,
I mean, you
Local
can,
numbers?
but that wasn't what we were trying to push for,
No,
was
we're
it?
not trying to push that. You can.
Yeah.
but it'll send to any, no, I mean, it'd send to a cell phone number, it'd send to a local, I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't matter.
Email address,
Email, text.
Yep.
And you can, when you sign up, you can have as many as 10 people that you can sign up for. And,
10 contacts,
That's like supposedly in your family.
Oh, okay.
So, like Chase doesn't know you, but he could get all this stuff. I just
So you did the house phone and different people's cell phones, plus people's
Yep.
text,
And it's all free. I think it's going to be a great thing. So,
Do you plan on doing the weather alerts on that too?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I get mine on my phone anyways from National Weather Service, but I didn't know if that's something you guys were gonna do on
Yeah.
top of that.
and I see that, Brian, being of particular benefit to older people who maybe, use more landlines and that. No, I'm not
Maybe
saying
they can't hear.
No, I'm not saying. You know how a lot of people still use their landlines quite a bit, so I think, it'll be, I'm sure, a good benefit for them.
Wouldn't leave home without it.
They run cord wraps for all of that.
Anything else for Parks Recreation and David Shea? Okay, then we will adjourn at
6:40.
6:39.
Hey, before we get started, I'd like to thank everybody that's helped me get out of jail. I went over $700 for MDA, so I really appreciate it.
Wait a minute.
Holy cow!
Mine said to keep you in.
It was fun, it's fun.
Whoa.
You know,
They take your picture in that stripe thing. maybe on the card.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody got one?
Nope.
No.
Coming. Everything, I've passed everything out we got here. Now we got one? Okay, 6:40, we'll call Finance Committee. Order, first item, appropriate $6,944.92, Aladdin Shriners donation to EMS Squad Supplies. Brian?
I talked to Chief Huggins about this. There was a letter sent to the Shriners that detailed what, if the department received assistance, here are the items that we would like to purchase with that assistance. So this money was donated by the Shriners to the fire department for that purpose of purchasing, and most of them, if I remember correctly, were pediatric related, like infant pediatric related items. I've instructed Chief Huggins to utilize this money for the purpose of purchasing those things that they outlined in their letter to the Shriners. If the cost of all the items that they outlined in their letter is greater than this donation amount, I told him to cap what they buy to what this donation amount is. So if they were going to buy 5 of something and this only allows them to buy 3 of them, then buy 3.
See, a lot of organizations I know are VFW down here. If you have an organization like our department or groups, you can request, but all that money we make gambling and whatever we do, we have to give it away. We can cover our expense, but it's like if you have an organization at your church or your Boy Scouts or anything, you can request money to them and they'll give it to you. It's a good way to fund a lot of this stuff because those people have to get rid of that money. Keep that in mind. A lot of people don't know it. But I know I sent a bunch of high school kids to Texas from our church that way, just through the VFW.
Comments, Brian?
Not unless anybody has any questions.
Ready?
Do we want that when it gets time to be on the ordinance here? Does it need to be waived or anything? Or
It can be. I don't see any reason
Nothing was
not
noted on here,
to.
but that's all.
we're just going to merge it? Okay. We'll talk about it more in caucus, but I just want to mark it down. Okay.
Second item, appropriate $950 from the general fund, which is donated funds to police materials and supplies, purchase 50th anniversary photographs and frames. Brian, any other comments?
No,
Your committee?
but that was just money that he had raised, so it's not coming out of the general fund. So
And I would say same thing. I don't see any reason to hold that for
Wait
a
a
second.
second, be done with it. Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right.
Third item, appropriate $13,000 for a new CMI server.
Creative Microsystems Incorporated.
Thank you, that was my first question.
Hey, Dave.
Is that for the whole
Is that
city?
$7,800 in the general fund, $2,600 within the water fund, $2,600 wastewater fund.
We don't have it.
The CMI systems we have where we use,
2 weeks.
their software systems, we use it for accounts payable, budget, payroll, the water utility, the tax, and fixed assets.
there's a server that we have all of these things on that is between 5 and 6 years old. And it was spec'd by CMI the last time. So we expect these things to last about 5 years. We had data, which is Mike Brocious and Richard Ray, who is kind of on retainer for the city for this computer tech.
Yeah, for IT
stuff.
related things.
Yeah. So we had them get a quote from CMI to do the hardware in this case, and then we had data also put in a quote against it, and this was the most practical way. Mayor and I agree.
Data's quote on the server and the setup of it was cheaper, and it was a little better server. Our current server is running out of memory. Like, we're having to constantly monitor it to make sure that it doesn't actually hit that ceiling. It's running out of memory, and so we need to make a move.
We would have put this in the budget for next year, and we knew we were coming up on this. It's becoming iffy whether we can get through the end of the year.
Yeah.
But
so my recommendation to you in 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks, is going to be that we wait the second reading on this. We need to get this server in place. Literally, we're constantly checking the memory to make sure that it doesn't.
Other data systems increase in technology, so you have to keep this thing going to stay up with.
Security updates and things like that just constantly eat at the available memory on these things, and so it's time. Rapidly approaching time.
Any comments? This came out of finance. So.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else for finance?
no, sir.
Tim, I'd like to have an executive session to discuss negotiations for an economic development agreement. Do you want to do caucus now and then have that?
How are you going to be?
Could be 6 1/2 dozen the other. I'm just asking.
I can imagine you more about 20 minutes.
Huh?
Probably about 20 minutes.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. We'll do caucus real quick, because then caucus only ought to take 5 minutes if they got long.
Okay.
And then we'll jump right into it.
Didn't know where you were.
Whoa!
We'll jump right into it.
was only those cat quick research.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Wait, you used to be able to get behind there.
I'm not gonna say it. I won't be here at next council meeting because I'll be in Florida for Allison's wedding.
Okay.
In case I forget to tell you.
Okay.
And I'm not here next time.
Okay.
I won't be here either.
You won't? No.
So the important thing is we got the pool roof stuff waived.
Yes.
Okay.